Hey, Lautaro, how's it going, man? This is Ryan with TrendLizard.com. Good to hear from you. Always appreciate your emails. You sent me 3 stock/currencies and ETFs and whatever else that you wanted me to look at for you today. 3 that we have looked at for you in the past, but it's been a little while, so it's definitely high time for an update on those. We're going to start with a look at the Chilean Peso, then we're going to look at the Chile ETF ECH, and then we're going to finish up with copper, the continuous contract. So we're going to start with the Chilean Peso. You always give me tough ones to analyze, so it took me a little bit of work and a lot of charts and a lot of explaining, but I'm going to do the best I can just to explain exactly what I'm thinking here. So with the Chilean Peso, same as last time, it was incepted back in 1997. It had a big up move, a big down move, and then it has kind of stair-stepped higher since then. Now, it is not super apparent exactly how to label this action because it's been tricky. And the reason why is because after the ultimate low, or at least the low off that 2008 low, had this really nice up leg, and then you had a tank job that retraced more than 61.8%. It made it difficult to understand exactly what role this up-down move played. Since then, we've had just overlapping price action. We've had difficult things to understand. It leaves open the door to different possible ways to label it. So we're going to take a look at a couple here. I think the bottom line, what we're going to find is things are bullish and that higher prices have to be expected, but I'll show you how we come to that conclusion. So one possible way to label this action is that we had an A, a B, a C truncated here, and I think we have to accept the fact that this is really the more important low than the 2008 low. And then since then, we had a first wave up, a second wave down, and now we are in a third wave advance that has so far completed the first and second wave to the downside. Now, the bullish aspect, regardless of how you label it, is the fact that price bounced off of this 61.8% retracement of this up leg here and has returned to the high. So no matter how you want to label things, we have a counter trend down move here in 2020. That has to be bullish. One way or another has to be expected to continue higher overall. However, there is a way that this may not head directly higher, and that's with the other labeling that I can find here. And that would be to call this first and second wave action here, kind of funky, close to the low, hard to love it, but still first and second wave, third wave up, fourth wave down, fifth wave up, and then obviously the larger correction that's begun from there. Now, this is possible. I think if this is the case, we would probably get a larger A, B, C correction before price continues higher. So that is something that we need to consider. So first, let's go ahead and dive in a little bit more on this possibility here. Let's zoom in just on this price action off the 2011 low. So again, it would just be a big first wave up here, kind of the funky first and second wave action there, but whatever the case may be, second wave down, and then the larger third wave advance subdividing into a first, second, and up from there. If this is the case, and if this is the case, I would imagine that this pullback would have to be over just because it's already pretty big. But if this is the case, the Chilean Peso needs to stay above 760 at all times. If it moves below that level, it would indicate that this pullback off the 2020 high is not yet over. Then it would become too big, I think, to be a smaller degree second wave. So I think this chart looks good as long as the Chilean Peso is able to stay above 760. Now let's explore the other possibility a little bit more. Again, it's that first, second, third, fourth, fifth wave completed at the 2020 high. You have an A wave down, a B wave recovery, and then the indication would be a C wave down back into this yellow area. Again, the key level comes down to 760. If the Chilean Peso moves below that level, it would look like a larger pullback is forming, and that would point to this price action here. So let's go ahead and zoom in one more time at this price action off the 2021 low. And if we look at it, it looks trendy. This action that we've gotten to the upside off of the 2021 low, that moved above the key level that we talked about last time. I can't remember exactly where it was. I think 790, maybe somewhere in that area. It's confirmed, obviously, that this is a counter trend pullback. It really doesn't matter how you want to label this. You can label it whichever way you want. It doesn't matter. It's been nearly completely retraced. It's a counter trend move. And then you have this trendy upside action here, which could support a more bullish resolution directly from here. And I think it's kind of has to be the expectation as long as it is trading above 760. Now, certainly this could be the start of what we off at December's high of a larger correction of this 5-wave move, because it does look like a move that could have completed, and that's supported by the fact that this upside action in November and December looks kind of like an ending diagonal here. It's contracted, shot to a new high, and then is pulled back. This is kind of the type of thing you would expect if this up leg was at its end. But as long as this counter trend or this pullback proves to be a counter trend move, stays above 760 and is able to continue higher from there, I think you have to be bullish on Chilean peso. That was a very long way at saying be bullish on this guy as long as it's trading above 760. If it does break down below that level, we would have to conclude that the 2020 pullback is not yet over, and we would revisit that 2021 low before it is ready to head higher. So I hope through all that, there's some sense that can be made out of it, Lautaro. So let's go ahead and move on to the next guy. This is the Chilean Peso, the Chilean ETF, ECH. This guy has some tricks about it as well, but I think it's a little bit easier of an analysis. It's had just a few moves over the course of its lifetime. It's had this big up leg here that looks like a 5-wave move in 2009, 2010. Once it hit its head there, it's been in a very long-term counter trend pullback. Now, last time we looked at this, we posed the question, could this be the end? Could this be over? I think we looked at it maybe in early 2021 or something like that. Maybe it was a little bit later than that. Whatever the case may be, that was the question that was posed. What's happened since then is this recovery off the 2020 low played out in what looks like a 3-wave recovery and then has broken down from there. So it's kind of hard to love this action. Certainly, if the trend had turned back up, we would expect this to be a trendy 5-wave move, not a 3-wave move. The good news is, if we look at it in a very, very general sense and just look at this up leg this up leg off the 2020 low, the pullback that's followed has largely found support at the 61.8% retracement level, which would be the bottom end of this yellow support area. So there's some bullish hope. Now, we could get creative, relabel this move and say, okay, what really happened is first, second wave, and then we had a really tight little third, fourth, fifth wave. Maybe. It's hard to say. It's pretty hard to say with any confidence, yeah, this is happening. But it's a possibility, and I think if you had something else that happened that suggested that maybe this was happening, then you could be bullish on it and still kind of maintain the hope that this low in 2020 marked an end to this massive decline and that some larger uptrend was happening. So what we would need to see to create the right conditions for us to go with this kind of funkier labeling of this upside action is a move above 29, because that would make this pullback in 2021 a counter trend move that would set the stage for higher prices. Feels like a stretch. Nevertheless, that's what would need to happen if it moved above 29. And if it does, I would have no problem trading this guy and being bullish on it. So anyway, let's continue to dive in and look a little bit closer. If we do find that ECH is going to continue lower and that this is in fact what it looks like, an ABC correction, it's possible that it's the fourth wave of this down leg here. It's a very big up move. Still, if you look at this yellow support area, it essentially retraced just a little bit more than 61.8% of this third wave down. So it's really not doing anything wrong if it continues lower from here. It could fit as the start of a fifth wave that moves back down to that 2020 low, thereby finally completing this big down move that began back in 2010, 2011, right around there. So there's that consideration. If we zoom in and look a little bit closer at the upside price action, this is the labeling that we had in place last time, ABC. And then the question becomes, how do you label the decline? And again, it's just not clear enough to say with any super confidence what it is. I mean, you could call it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave first, second wave, and then getting ready to break down. Or you could label it as an ABC X ABC. It's just not clear. So if we act like there's one way to label this, we're just throwing a dart and guessing. We don't know for sure. And when we run into times like that, basically all we can do is approach it in a more general sense. And that's to say, if it moves above 29, this is a counter trend move. That would just be the facts of it, regardless how you've tried to label it up to that point. That would remove all options and just say this is a counter trend move. And that therefore sets the stage for another big up leg, like what happened in 2020, early 2021. So it's hard to be bullish at this moment until there's an actual reason to be bullish, just because, again, this looks like a 3-wave move less than the 5-wave move I have it labeled as here. and this just isn't clear enough. So I think you need something bullish to happen to be bullish here. That would be some trendy upside movement, and most definitely a move above 29 to confirm that the intention is to continue this recovery off the 2020 low. So there is ECH. Now let's move on to copper. The continuous contract, our data only goes back to 1980. This is what we have. It went sideways basically from 1980 to the turn of the century. Around 2001, it recorded a low, gave us a really nice 5-wave advance. Since then, it's gone wacky. It's gone back and forth in what looks like a very large ABCDE contracting triangle right here. Things perked up in 2020, got a breakout move to a new high. It's been unable to build on that since then, but it still looks bullish. But let's go ahead and just zoom in on this action here to get a little bit more detail. I guess we're just more focused in on the pullback here. And again, this is why we're calling it a triangle at this point. Every move looks like a 3-wave move. It's contracted, and now it's trying to break out to the upside. And we're bullish on this guy. Now, it may not head directly higher. It certainly hasn't. It's gone sideways for the second half of 2021, but it still looks bullish. Let's show you why. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this near-term action here. The up leg in 2020, early 2021, very clear 5-wave move. Last time we looked at it, we said if it moved below 410, that would indicate that this up leg was over. It did move below 410 shortly thereafter. Now, it certainly hasn't tanked, but it's gone sideways and made it very clear that this 5-wave move did in fact end. It's hard to say if we'll ever get a true correction of this up leg, and by that I mean a move into this yellow support area. It seems more interested in heading sideways than it does heading down, but I wouldn't rule it out at this point, and I think there's good reason to believe that this pullback off the 2021 high is not yet over. If you look at what's happened off of the low to the pullback, which happened here in August, it's a pretty clear 3-wave move to the upside, and then that move has largely been retraced to the downside, so there's nothing to suggest that a low is in yet. I think you have to expect additional weakness, at least back to August low, if not into this yellow support area in the near, possibly the midterm, depending on how long this takes. It's really hard to tell sometimes with these counter trend moves. Nevertheless, we believe that this move is not yet over, but we do believe that on a larger time frame, it is still up. So if you own it, you can hold it if you're on a longer term time frame. If not, you would want to wait for this counter trend pullback to complete, ideally with some type of spike lower to give us a nice ending C-wave decline. And then when you start seeing that strength to the upside again, it's going to look like the start of another big 5-wave move like we saw back here. So obviously that would be worth your effort at that time. So I hope that is helpful, outro. Always good to talk to you. I hope all is well on your end, and look forward to more communication with you in the future. Have a great day.